Alright, so for graphing systems of inequalities, we have four different types of equations here. We're going to take each equation and graph it. Alright, I'm going to show you guys step by step on how to graph the solutions of systems of inequalities. Step one will typically just be us rewriting the given equations. So as we have here, I'm going to create like a little box so we know this is what all the equations are at. These are the list of the four different inequalities. I'm just trying to divert the last two. We was able to isolate y, and we have x by itself. So y is greater than or equal to 0 is representing the boundary points on this side, and then x is greater than or equal to 0 is pretty much expressing the boundary points on the x-axis, right, which is this horizontal line. So being as though these are pretty much designed already, we have to be able to convert these and isolate y for both of the last two equations. So for the first one, we have step one. Alright, so we have x plus y is less than or equal to 20. Alright, the whole goal is to convert it back to the slope-intercept formula. So if you guys don't remember what slope-intercept formula is, I'm going to put the formula at the top, alright, which is y equals mx plus b. But in this case here, we're dealing with inequality, so all you're going to do is just pretty much create your problem to be the same way. The only thing that's going to be different is the sign. Alright, so like I was mentioning, we're going to convert it back to slope-intercept formula. So the first step would be to subtract x on both sides. Okay? After you subtract x on both sides, we know that x and 20 is not like terms, so you cannot add or subtract those two terms to each other. So you have to rewrite the equation as y is less than or equal to negative x plus 20. Okay? That is the first inequality. The second inequality, I'm going to follow the same process. Alright, so we have 4x plus 9y is less than or equal to 135. Alright, I have to convert this inequality back to the slope-intercept formula as well. So the first step would be to subtract 4x on both sides. Alright, this cancels out. Negative 4x and 135 cannot add or subtract into each other, so you have to rewrite the equation as 9y less than or equal to negative 4x plus 135. Alright, and to finalize my step, like I mentioned, we need to get y by itself, so I'm going to divide 9 on both sides. Okay? So now that we have y by itself, we have to be able to divide the 9 by each term. So negative 4 over 9, we know that 4 and 9 doesn't have any common factors. You cannot multiply or divide them to each other. So I'm going to rewrite it as a fraction, as negative 4 over 9x. Alright, and then the last term we have 135 divided by 9. 9 goes into 135 15 times, so I'm going to rewrite it as plus 15. Okay? So now we was able to accomplish step one as far as rewriting the equation. Step two will be more so highlighting the key components, right? You need to identify what your slope is and identify what your y-intercept is. Alright, so step two, I'm going to put slope and y-intercept. Alright, so when you need to find your slope and your y-intercept, you need to look at the components of m and your b. Alright, so we take a look at the first inequality that we have written up here. We have a negative number in front of the x. Alright, so that imaginary number in front of the x is always 1. Alright, so in reality for the first inequality, our slope is negative 1 over 1. Alright, and then the y-intercept is always represented as the b, which is your first point in the graph. B is going to be equal to 20. Alright, what I typically like to do is create the coordinate points so my students know where your first point will be at. So our first point is when x is 0 or y is 20. Alright, the first point of the graph. For the second inequality, we have y is less than or equal to negative 4 over 9x plus 15. We're going to follow the same process. Identify what our slope is. For this inequality, our slope is negative 4 over 9. So you're going to put m is equal to 4 over 9. Alright. And for the last step here is identify what the y-intercept is. Our y-intercept is 15. So we're going to have b is equal to 15. And your first point will be 0, 15. Okay. So being as though we was able to establish all intricate details behind creating the equation. Now we're ready to plot the graph. All right, plot the points in the graph. So I'm gonna start off by plotting the first inequality that we have here, by plotting 0, 20, which is our first point. All right, so we have 0, 20. We're gonna use the slope to find our next point. So our slope is -1 over 1. So the -1 over 1 is representing the y over x. All right. So we have 20 minus 1. 20 minus 1 give us 19. So we're going down one increment and going to the right once. So your new point should be 119. Because like I mentioned, we went down one and we went to the right once. Next is for us to do it one more time. Go down one and go to the right one. So 19 minus 1 is 18. And go to the right one, that is 2. So your next point should be right here, which is at 218. Okay? And what I typically like to do with these 3 points is connect the dots, right, and draw my line. Okay? Alright, so to kind of finalize the first inequality here, we're going to pay attention to the inequality sign. So if you have a less than or equal to sign, it's telling you that the bottom portion of the boundary line will be shaded. If it was a greater than or equal to sign, it's telling you that the above of the boundary line will be shaded. So being as we have a less than or equal to, it's telling us that that bottom part of the boundary line will be shaded. So I'm just going to create a little arrow to let you know what areas will be shaded for that inequality. Second one, we have y is less than or equal to -4 over 9 x plus 15. So we're going to start off by plotting 0, 15 first. All right, so your point should be somewhere here. All right, 0, 15. And our slope is -4 over 9. So it'll be going down 4 from the initial point and going to the right 9 points. All right, so 15 minus 4 is 11. All right, so your point should be going down somewhere right here and be going to the right 9 points. So from this point here, your second point should be somewhere right here. All right, where it's 9, 11. Okay, that is your second point from that graph. And then we would like to plot our last point. So we're going to do the same process. 11 minus 4 is 7. And we're going to go to the right 9 points. 9 plus 9 is 18. So your next point should be somewhere at 18, 7. Okay, so with these points here, we're just going to connect the dots. All right, and as this same thing here, we're going to check for the inequality sign, what kind of inequality is being presented. It's the less than or equal to, so being as it's less than or equal to is telling us that the bottom part of the boundary line will be shaded. So we're going to draw an arrow here to let you know that the bottom portion will be shaded. And to finalize your last step, you want to find out that two regions. Well, the region that both the lines are actually merging to one another. All right, so the only region that you can see that these two lines are going to be merging to each other is right here at the bottom part. It's not going to happen here because they're moving in the same direction. It's not going to happen here because they're moving in the same direction. It's not going to happen on the outside because the inequalities are not pointing towards above the lines. They're only pointing towards the bottom, so the bottom part of these boundary lines will be shaded. Alright, and that's pretty much it on how you're able to grasp of inequalities.